You sure you want to do this?
The next 3 to 4 years are every heavyweight's prime. There are few of those years.
A fighter's prime years are usually in their late 20s to early 30s. It's the perfect moment where they've developed the majority of their skills. They have an immense knowledge of their craft, and their body hasn't yet begun its decline. A young fighter's game is often very physical and uses sheer force and athleticism, but their skill sets haven't yet had time to fully develop. As the body ages, that athleticism slowly fades away, but experience and knowledge of the game makes up for it. A fighter's prime is the short window where those worlds come together. Enlightenment is kind of like that. You see these glowing images of Buddha or Jesus, and this Christ consciousness is something that people dedicate their entire lives to achieve. They deduce, wrongly, that their ego is the enemy, but it's not. The ego is a very necessary part of functioning in our society. Without an ego, we can't differentiate between good and bad. We can't have goals. We just exist in union with everything. However, it does still make sense for some people to remove it regardless. An enlightened person is often considered filled with light. The reason for this is that they're vibrating at a high level and have dropped attachment to identity. In theory, this sounds good and very peaceful. Think of the Buddha's grin in all those statues. Who wouldn't want that? Pure contentment. But in practice, an enlightened person is essentially useless. Everything is a blend together. They don't have preferences. They don't have plans. They just exist and channel the universe. Enlightened people need helpers around them constantly, as they're essentially babies. I also have this theory that this is why people were helping the elderly to begin with. A person is supposed to take their journey and let go of everything on their path. If you didn't take this journey, you just got old. You were left to the wolves. You weren't worth the strain on the community. You must not think a man has lived long because he has white hair and wrinkles, says Seneca. He has not lived long, just existed long. But if you had gone on this journey, shed your skin, gone into the depths, you may be useless in terms of practical things around the town, but the wisdom you can share is of immense value to the community. So your helper would be there to walk you to the tree trunk and sit you down in front of everyone so you could radiate bliss while people asked you questions. You're there to offer wisdom. You're no longer capable of offering anything else. Nowadays, people still have helpers, but it's not because they've gone on this quest to awakening. They just existed long enough that their bodies gave out. That's all it is. When people say respect the elderly, they really mean the at least semi-truth realized being with wisdom. They don't mean the old grandmother who eavesdrops on the neighbors and is racist. Here's the thing about it though, and how this relates to fighting. Thank you for bearing with me. Becoming enlightened doesn't happen all at once. It's a process in that you slowly understand yourself, the world around you, your place in it, your role, and the role of your body. You begin shedding your identity and your attachments. You become peaceful. The light around you starts to emanate. This process could take decades as you learn to let go of everything. Your assumptions, beliefs, the programming with which you operate in the world. As you let go of your attachments and preferences, your light increases. You draw people to you with ease. Cats come up to you in the street, and children stare at you. While this is all happening, you can still function in the world. You're still able to think logically. You can run a business, raise a family, everything. While this is happening, you become better at your life in every facet. You become a true leader. What you say is followed because it's clear that you have nothing but pure intentions. Anything you say, people agree with it because they can tell it's coming from the right place. There's just something about you. This light that you emanate, it increases, and use all the skills that you've picked up in your life to be your best self and guide others. And this builds and builds, and then there's a short period of time right before you begin to become useless where you are the perfect leader. All this work that you've done, all the skills that you've developed, they're all at their peak. You have a goal you're working towards. You're charming, charismatic, capable, and at peace. It grows and builds and grows and builds, and you can see beyond the glass while still remaining in the world. And right when you're like, this is perfect, you make the final step. After that, the programming has been shed. The light is glowing like there's no tomorrow. Everyone around you can feel it, but you no longer have wants or desires. This as well isn't an immediate thing, but a process. You progressively stop being able to lead, plan, think. You had your build-up where everything was coming together. Then you peaked to the ultimate balance between a pure leader who operates in the material world and a spiritual being. And then before you know it, the descent. Just like a fighter who consistently put in work, and it all came together for a brief period. The efforts you've made pay immense dividends to you in the material world. It all came together for a moment of perfection, and then you stepped over to the other side. From there, it's a short period before all the programming falls away, and you can never function in society again. Why can't you just not take that final step and stay at your peak, you may ask? Because the only way to get to that peak is by wholehearted devotion to the end result. That period where the light is growing and you're a perfect leader, that is simply a side effect of taking the journey. You can only reach that state if you're truly trying to reach the end stage of enlightenment. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to begin. One moment was enough. A person had to work hard for it, but a minute of perfection was worth the effort. A moment was the most you could ever expect from perfection. Tyler Durden. This is what I've seen in my explorations of the universe. How does this fit in with your knowledge of Buddhist tradition, Christianity, or Islam? Also, if you like this video, kindly physically like the video and then subscribe. Talk soon.